What's up, y'all? So I know a while ago I had briefly given an overview regarding personality disorders, and just how at times they can totally just be misconstrued, and people make up like all of these buzzwords in media. You see it everywhere, but it doesn't negate that most of the time it's not sound information. And those things really do matter. In the words of my big brother, words do matter, right? Words matter. What's up, Shelton? PMP Promotions, giving you a shout out. Even though you be trolling. Like, I was even giving y'all a shout out in one of the shorts. I was like, Shelton over there trolling me on my shorts with the little eye rolling to the side. Exactly. You have to laugh at yourself for that. Because I saw that. I was like, how you gonna just troll me on my short? And I'm actually giving all of us shout outs. Anywho, so getting back to personality disorders, Shelton, I'm sure you've probably seen it all the time where people constantly say, oh, yeah, they're narcissists. I mean, if you listen to people, everyone, especially men, you're going to hear women, they'll say all men are narcissistic. Um, then you also hear about borderline personality disorder a lot. So I'm trying to figure out which one and which route I may want to go first. I know a couple of our peeps are live right now as well. So I'm just going to try to give. Yes, they do, Shelton. Like, you talking about narcissism that gets thrown around a lot? Or borderline? Which one? I see it all the time. Yeah, it is so annoying. And I don't want to be that person that every time I see something like that, I'll be like, I just sometimes I want to type and just be like, okay, what credentials do you have? Are you even out here able to even like give somebody this diagnosis? Like 90 some percent of the time, people aren't. They just gone on Google something, they look at a few symptoms that AI has put in there, and they just say, oh, yeah, they're narcissistic. Okay, but narcissistic behaviors and symptoms, actually, you typically see them in all teens. It does not mean, though, that they meet the narcissistic, the actual criteria for someone to diagnose them and say they have narcissistic disorder, they have narcissistic traits. But teenagers, they're going through a lot of different changes developmentally, emotionally, just even the chemical balances. So children, teens, you're gonna see a lot of those behaviors. But where does it really come from, right? And it's still being researched as far as narcissism and just how it developed. So in some research, they actually do say that it came from maybe the environment that a child was maybe brought up in, and later on as an adult, they typically display these traits. Doesn't always mean they're going to meet the full criteria where I would actually diagnose them, right? So what does it look like in when we say environmentally? They have been conditioned to develop these types of traits. What it would look like, you ever known parents that they overpraise and adore their children? Sometimes we might say they spoil that child a little too much. We might say that child is a brat. While I can't say the intentions of the parents, were like, oh, I'm going to keep doing this and you're going to grow up to be a narcissist. No, no. Something high, beautiful, Tay Tay. Oh, hold on, Tay Tay, because I got excited because now I know how to wrench people up. So hold on, Tay Tay. Now I'm excited about this. All right, let me see something. All right, let's see. Yeah, okay. What's up, gorgeous? So happy you're here. Appreciate y'all being here. Okay, so like I was telling Shelton, he was in here, and parents, we're talking about how, oh, I'm awesome, Tay Tay. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm praying the same for you, beautiful. I really am. Shelton, what you say? Hell yeah, I got cousins who was raised like that. Seriously. And it's kind of scary to know that your environment can actually shape you to be like having this whole like disorder where it makes it very difficult to even interact with others. And we're going to get to that. Right now, we're just going to focus on how this thing comes to be, right? So the parents may overly adore this child. You're welcome and thank you. Thank you so much, Tay Tay. The parents may overly adore this child. Or on the flip side, they may be overly critical. Just hear me out. But it doesn't stop there because they are overly critical of this child and the math isn't math, and meaning that they're being overly critical of certain things that, don't call for that, right? My big brother. Hi, BF. That's my big brother, y'all. I don't be playing about him though. Like I be trying to be real kind in the comments and stuff when we go other places, but I really don't be playing. And I mean that with all respect. DP Rocka. Look at all the music notes. What's up, DP Rocka? I'm so happy to see y'all because I know a lot of our people are on right now. And so thank y'all for coming by. I will do my best to get through this as soon as possible. All right. So we are currently on the disorder of narcissism and just how it's thrown around. But currently we're talking about how it can develop in one's environment when they're children. So I hope that makes sense to y'all. We said that it can come in the environment by way of parents, that you said this is important. It can come by way of parents who overly adore their children, or it can be on the other end of the spectrum where parents, guardians, whomever that interacted with that child were overly critical. Okay. Then the next thing is genetics. It can actually come from genetics, y'all. Where their parents may have had some level of personality traits, and then they conditioned the child the same way. But it's also important, I'd said early on when it was just Shelton and I, that a lot of these behaviors of narcissism, oh, thank you, BF. I really appreciate you. For real, for real. A lot of these behaviors, I'll even see people talking about teenagers have narcissism. And I'm like, bruh, that's not even sound like we don't make those diagnoses. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, let's be for real. Like, I have actually referred some of my clients to life coaches because I do see the need for some people and where they could benefit from that. But a life coach and a therapist, two different things, y'all. Two different things. I practice psychotherapy. I make these diagnoses and I'm very careful about it. So, anyways, I've seen people say, oh, this child, this 12-year-old, they have narcissism. And I'm like, bruh, all teenagers have narcissistic behaviors. They're going through so much at that time, right? And then, like I said, it could be, just passed down from parents as far as the way they've been conditioned. And it just seeps out into the child and what they've learned and what they've observed. All those things matter, y'all, for real. But always keep in mind as we talk about this, that we are all doing life for the very first time. So even our parents were doing life for the very first time. Okay. I often like to remind us of that because sometimes things happen and we're like, why did I even get dealt that card? That hand, why? Well, if you look back at their parents or their guardians, sometimes you can find a lot of different patterns, right? So, narcissism, what is it? Now, just from afar, I'm going to take the clinical side out right now, and I'm going to look at it, what it looks like to us just looking from the outside in. DP Rock, my grandkids are narcissistic. They always trick me out. Okay, and that's one thing. Yeah, manipulative, right? But those grandkids, it is expected for them to have those traits. Okay, they are yet growing and learning. All right, BF. All right. So we see them and we're like, they manipulative as hell. They think of themselves higher than they ought to. They magnify all of their achievements, even if everybody around them is thinking, was that really that big of a deal? They constantly need their ego stroked. They're constantly seeking out this validation, but it's masked with this confidence that's not there, y'all. It's not really there. We're going to get to that part. Oh, man. The interpersonal conflicts. What you say. And it's okay, y'all. Like, we want to start normalizing these things. Because by the end of it, you're going to realize, hell yeah, all little kids be having that. They had them little narcissistic traits, but it doesn't mean that they're going to be actually diagnosed with narcissism. Just because you see adults with narcissistic traits does not mean they meet criteria for narcissism. Okay. So, what other things do you think about? Talk to me, BF. I do pray I can answer those questions. Okay, so basically, y'all just telling me y'all some little manipulative badass. I'm just playing. You were trying to just listen, but now you got questions, BF. Yeah, like y'all telling on yourselves now. Don't let nobody hear it because, oh my Lord, these buzzword people, they'll be like, oh, I always knew it. They're narcissists. It irks me, y'all. Y'all just have no idea how much it irks me. All right, while BF is getting his questions in there. Oh, here we go. If as a child you were never aided in overcoming, but now it's ingrained, what do you do? Okay. Are we just saying if you were never aided in overcoming, do you mean like not emotionally supported? What were we trying to overcome? I'm positive I've had those traits. You think so? Okay. All right. So now, see, BF then asked a question, and now I'm going to jump a little ways ahead because I really do want to kind of make this make sense, if you will, BF. What's up, prize fighter? So happy to see you here. So happy to see you. No, we are not doing that. You will not type this and then, oh, I'm going to follow that. No, no. Oh, yeah, I will address it. I'm going to address it right now because it may help someone else, that may be feeling the same way. That's more important to me than anything. with all personality disorders, there is no medication for that, right? And that's all personality disorders. We all do, including myself. That is true, DP Rocka. And as long as we're on this side of the dirt, we can definitely see that healing if we're intentional and we're receptive, right? So all personality disorders, remember I told you before, there are three different clusters, right? We typically hear more buzzwords in regard to the cluster B traits, that borderline personality disorder, narcissistic, antisocial personality disorder. Do some people grow out of it? Are you asking as far as just like maybe allergies, they grow out of the behaviors? Children, yeah, once they become more balanced in their chemicals, hormones, all of that, as long as they have that healthy upbringing, balanced. Yeah, you don't see those behaviors anymore. Now, what if they do continue? Like I said, personality disorders aren't like anxiety, right? Or mood disorders where someone can be oh, definitely. Yeah, because there's a big difference. All right, so personality disorders that they can't just be treated with medication. But the beautiful thing in personality disorders is talk therapy. And I'm not telling you what I've heard, I'm telling you what I've seen over and over again. I've worked with so many different personality disorders, y'all, diagnosed. Only a few have I done it myself. I'm very careful in that. But what I've noticed is when they are intentional with receiving that talk therapy, and they're not just going to, say what they want to say, but they are being receptive, they are actually practicing these skills, all of a sudden, they no longer meet the criteria. Thus, why I am so careful in making the diagnosis of personality disorders. I'm actually careful about any diagnosis because after it's made, y'all, after I make that diagnosis, and some of you may know about this, it follows that person forever, y'all. And so I don't just be dropping them, like I always say, like Oprah handing out TVs and stuff. Yeah. So the beauty in it, like I said, is that I've worked with these same people years later, and they no longer have any of those symptoms. They no longer have any of those traits. It took work. I will tell you, one of the best, very best, in my opinion, and also evidence based, it's been proven. Big D, hi, nice to see you. What exactly qualifies as a disorder? Are you talking about specifically what we're discussing today, personality disorders? Or, yeah, just expand upon that. Like, I don't want to assume. All right, so, okay, yesterday's discussion. Well, if we just go with narcissism, or borderline, it's criteria that you have to meet. So it's a long assessment that we do, you know, um, that I would actually use with someone. What's up, Freedom's March? Blessings to you. What's up, family? And I'll actually go through that specifically in a little bit, Big D, if you're going to be here for a little bit. I just want to, okay, I'm so excited that I can like make people like, moderators and stuff. I don't know why that's exciting for me. No judgment though. All right, so let's get back to that. And so it's so amazing because then I see them years from then and I'm like, wow, this person is no longer, having leave me alone, Freedom's March. I get so excited. That and when I see people's children or if they talk about their children, like when we're in the YouTube streets, my heart just is like, yeah, overflowing with love. Okay, so and I'm like, wow, is this the same person? But one modality that has been proven to treat personality disorders, and y'all have heard me talk about it. I appreciate you, BF. But that's why y'all minds and stuff. So, okay, I'm gonna tell y'all right now. Yeah, if they be on any extra, like, just get them out because now that I am paying attention to the chat, I don't even want that stuff in there. Like, if they be on some extra, just I don't care what it is. If it don't rub you right, get them out. How about that? Okay, I'm done. So DBT, y'all have heard me speak of this. Dialectical behavioral therapy, developed by Marsha Linehan, right? A lot of the skills that I have shared and talked you all through, that's of DBT. Thank you, Freedom's March. Why is DBT so helpful for personality disorders? Because it challenges you. And that typically, just to kind of answer a little bit what he was asking about, I'm assuming that you're a male when you were asking what exactly qualifies as a disorder. I'll be honest with y'all. I meet with someone, I'm talking to them, just at their intake. I may feel something and I'm like, this sounding like we got maybe just some personality things going on, man. By that third time, I am literally more than certain. How do I know? For me, because all therapists are different. For me, I'm listening to, are they able to take accountability? Are they blaming a lot? Like, it's everybody else that's doing this to me. It's nothing I did, right? And they may not say that verbatim, y'all. It's just hearing them talk that everybody else was the reason I made these decisions, or everybody else, they were the cause of me acting that way. And I'll say, okay, I'm going to listen a little more and I'll meet with them a couple of more times because I told you, we only work with people 5 to 7 days because we're trying to stabilize them. So it's quite intense, right? I'm hearing a lot of just when we come back to that narcissistic personality disorder, I'm hearing sometimes almost as grandiose, when they're talking, they may speak of themselves in a manner that is way above the actual sum of that equation. So what they're telling me versus what I've known from just reviewing their psychological, it's not adding up. They may have these fantasies. They may almost romanticize about a lifestyle, relationships, these brilliant ideas, not to be confused with just speaking affirmations or if one's belief system may say, you want to speak those things into the universe. No, that's totally different. No, this is actually, they believe it to be so, and there isn't anything to back that up. being that I work at a unit that's open 24 hours, right? So I'll be out on the unit and they might run up to me and they're like, Cameron, um, I did my homework last night. And at first, like genuinely, I'm like, that's what's up. That's what's up, And I'm just getting there, arriving on my shift. And they come back again. A staff will come and say, hey, Cam, such and such wants to see you. And I'm like, damn, I just saw them. They were cool. They were excited about their homework. I'll go out. Hey, Cameron, I just wanted to read this to you. And I'll say, okay. Yeah, it's my homework I did. And I'll say, all right. Now, the mistake therapists sometimes will make, especially once you know that there are personality disorders there, because all of them will present in the way I'm telling you now. They all can have that same thing that's going on, right? Because it's almost like, see me, right? Notice me. I know you have everybody else here, but no, I want to stand out, right? Now, some therapists will make the mistake of saying, okay, I'm coming now. Mm-mm. No, because that's not going to help you. So I will actually say, and I'll look up at the clock and I'll say, I just got here. So give me about 30 to 45 minutes. What you noticed is that I did not give them an actual time. I reminded them that I just got here. And then I leave and I go back to my office. Why do I do that? Because a lot of things can happen in that time. Personality disorders, a lot of times they have a fear of abandonment. All right. Y'all still with me? Is this making sense so far? Okay. All right. Yeah, they have a fear of abandonment. So is it making sense why they would want me to see them right then and there? They want me to see that homework they did at that moment when they want me to see it? Oh, yeah. DP Rocker, you and that damn listening on your forklift, man. All right. So I'll go back and literally, I may wait an hour or so because one or two things is going to happen. Actually, one of three, to be honest. But I'm trying to just listen and not engage. I got my eyes closed, but I got to let you know I'm here. I know, BF. My bad. I didn't mean to interrupt. All right. So, one of three things is going to happen, y'all. Anybody want to take a guess what may happen? Not BF because he's listening with his eyes closed and he doesn't want to feel like he has to engage. Not DP Rocker because he's on a forklift, which could be dangerous in my mind. I don't know. I don't know how to do that. What's up, TWR? Blessings to you. And Freedom's March, he saw him listen while PVC up and down this hill. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. Yeah, y'all have so much going on. Okay, I'll tell you what. No worries. No. You don't have to engage. I'm gonna tell you. If y'all are cool with me like basically facilitating, I don't mind doing that. Okay. I know DP Rocker. We found out. Yep, you told us. So one of the three things that can happen with me forcing them to have to wait to show me their homework, right? The first thing is staff might come back and literally it has been minutes later, y'all. Such and such said that they're really having a hard time. They need to talk to you. And the same way I'm looking at y'all is the way I look at the staff. And I even sometimes might say, of course they are. because in that moment, they feel like I just abandoned them. So in order to have a need met, that, and we're going to get to that, what's really happening with these personality disorders. In order to have a need met, they were like, you know what? Screw it. I'm at a crisis stabilization unit. That means that either I'm going to be here or I'm going to be at a state hospital. So if I show that I've escalated enough, she going to bring her ass out here. Now, years ago, I might have been more responsive because I hadn't had that much experience, right? So, like I said, no different than other therapists. They go, up, they said something's wrong. I'm coming. You know what? Y'all ain't right. Y'all are too funny, man. Okay. So what happens then is I just say to the staff, what are they doing exactly? Now, all of these personality disorders can look so different because some of them are actually even performative, meaning that they know all the things to do that would look like they're having anxiety or a panic attack, and it's not happening. One of their favorites may be dissociation, where they'll just stare and almost look like they're perhaps catatonic, right? But if the staff says, oh, they're just sitting there waiting, then I'll say I'm going to let them wait a few more minutes because I'm still going to go. I have to know what's going to help that person. And me being so responsive is not going to help them in that moment. I hope that makes sense. And it doesn't come off like, oh my gosh, how could you let somebody sit out there, Cam, and they want to show you their homework? Freedom's March. Well, sometimes we as women, hell, I've done that. We can do things of such. I often make the joke that when I'm at work, because I've been in a lot of different positions where it did require leadership, right? Now I'm a senior clinician there, and I'll joke and I'll always say, "Yep, once I'm home with him, I don't know how to do shit. I can't do shit. Stuff that I once knew, all of a sudden, I don't know. I need help." Not all the time, but I do have my days. At least I'm honest. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I do. And I'm an only girl and I have all brothers. So maybe that could play into that. Who knows? But anywho, so I go out there, right? And of course I'll do whatever skill that needs to happen to help them in that moment. That's the first thing that could occur. What's the second thing that could occur? They really might actually start freaking the hell out, y'all. Like legit. Whether it be crying or whether it be anger. And everybody else is like, they having this response because she just got here and couldn't see their homework. What's the last thing that could happen? This third thing is when it's the most favorable. It's what I'm always so excited about. What's up, Dirt Gang boss? Blessings to you. So happy to see you. That third is when they wait, right? It's uncomfortable, but they are managing even through the discomfort, y'all. And by the time I go out there and I take them into one of our clinical rooms to speak with them so they can show me their homework, after I finish, because I'm all in, I'm right there with them the whole time. I'm going to be present, regardless that I know they are, acting a little bit above and beyond, right? They may look at me and say, Cam, I don't know why it was that big of a deal and why I couldn't wait, why I needed your attention in that moment, why I needed you to see me in that moment. And my question, which, I'll say, you don't have to answer it, right? But just even something to think about. The feeling that you had when I did not come back right away, or I didn't stop everything I was doing to see your homework. If you think back for as many years as you can go back, was there a time where you felt that feeling before? In personality disorders, typically there is, like, to be honest, all the time. Mhm. When it's an actual diagnosis, right? Um, and they'll tell me, yeah, I felt that way. I felt that way when this one did it. Or I felt that way when my mom left, or my dad, or whomever. It could have been grief, whatever, right? And I'll say, okay, what I want you to do is try to figure out, what need are you trying to have met? What need is it? That is all personality disorders. I don't care which cluster it's in. It's a way of communication, and it's a way to signal that there is a need that is trying to be met. And I'm very honest. I've always been honest with y'all. I don't fix anybody. you know, I'm not there to cure anybody, but I damn sure do my best to help them better help themselves. It can be life changing for people when they realize as adults, damn, what need is it that I'm trying to have met? Where is this void that I'm, and therefore it's coming out in this way or that way? Let's go back to specifically narcissistic personality disorder. It may come out in anger because typically they have a harder time with emotional regulation, right? There is no balance in the emotions. So, what may be a 2 for you or I, it really could feel like a 25 to them. And in that moment, they're going to respond on a 25. I don't know what that could be from. I don't know what could have happened that their experience, if you will, that could have contributed to it. That's why we ask questions. That's the truth. We ask a lot of questions. So let's, because I want to get through this. We've already been on here 39 minutes, and that's very long for me, y'all. Borderline personality disorder, right? I kind of feel like I'm supposed to be paying for this. Okay. All right. So, first off, anybody that knows my reasoning for even having this space, and I'm not like, against any other race for being here. You're welcome, y'all. I appreciate y'all so much. But we as low key though, BF. No, but we as Black people, like being for real, we're not the most trusting by far. It's not in our nature to be trusting. Um, it's not in our nature to even trust Western philosophy and all those types of things, right? You know? And so creating this channel was to normalize really working on mental health. It was to normalize that there are really skills that can help you. For a therapist, it's 150 and up per hour, right? Um, and so for me, it was like, even if it's one, even if, that is able to receive sound um, knowledge, tools, skills, better ways to cope, that's a win for me. Yeah, in my description, I do put that Cash App. I put the PayPal because people stayed on me for so long about that. And part of me, I do understand why, I understand why logically, but I do want to be honest with y'all and tell you why I created this space. Because I hear enough BS floating around, you know what I'm saying? And I'll just be like, they full of shit. I'm the first person to tell people that, nope, I love working with my colleagues, but I will call their asses out and I'd be like, absolutely not. I even told you all about personality disorders and how people that I even work with may be like, oh my gosh, those personality disorders. And I'll use that DBT where we take away the but, that BUT, right? Because using but in a sentence can create this negative connotation, if you will, and we replace it with and. And I'll say, and they're suffering. My colleague will say, man, here they come with their narcissistic ass. And I'll say, and they have suffered. They are currently suffering. And they don't know why the hell they do what they do. Really. People with personality disorders, it's become their way to cope, y'all. Really. That's their way to cope. And typically no one has been honest enough, especially like I said, in our ethnicity, our culture, to say, you ever thought about maybe going to speak to someone? No, but we can easily see all of the sugar honey iced tea they be doing, and we thinking, damn, they getting on my nerves. But they suffer. They can't even maintain healthy relationships as far as intimate relationships. It is very difficult for them, y'all. Because guess what? They want that. You know how hard that has to be to want something so bad, to want to be able to connect so bad, to want to have that feeling of authentic connections with others. And it becomes problematic each time. Right? But for anybody that's joined later, like I said before, there are no medications for personality disorders. Talk therapy helps though. Oh yeah. Talk therapy, man. And if they are able to receive it. When I provide therapy to someone that has a personality disorder, I'm gently pushing. I'm going to push them out of that comfort. I'm going to challenge their cognitive distortions. And for those of you that have been here before, we've talked about these distortions, right? Gentle challenging, gentle confrontation, because a lot of times they'll have two conflictual ideas. Tay Tay. Yeah. Okay. So real quick, let's fast forward. I'm hoping that I've answered everyone's questions so far. I really attempted to do so. Borderline personality disorder. Thank you, Tay Tay. I appreciate all of you so very much. Borderline personality disorder. They typically have a lot of fluctuation in moods, as do most personality disorders. It's just really, hi, mommy, hi. They can be on and up, and then they can just be like, whatever. You can also see, that's where you see the blaming a lot in borderline personality disorder. It was a book that I recommend to those who are really, truly interested in working through borderline personality disorder. And it's called I Hate You, Don't Leave Me. Did y'all catch that? I hate you. Don't leave me. Because their behaviors, just like other personality disorders, can be so manipulative at times and so just selfish. That's the way it'll present, that people will be like, oh my gosh, I just can't. Family members will be like, I can't deal with them. How does anybody handle them? But that person is like, after they've shown their ass, they're like, no, but don't leave me. I don't want to be alone. And so I'm hoping that throughout this live, you are just seeing personality disorders through a different lens. It's not to say, oh, feel bad for them. No, I'm just telling you exactly what is happening. It's always more than what meets the eye. We see the outward behaviors. We don't know what's happening internally that may contribute to these behaviors. We don't know the things that they may have experienced growing up. We don't know the fear of rejection they may have. All of those things, we don't see it outwardly. We just see these behaviors that can sometimes be almost unbearable, right? So, yeah. It was something else somebody said, and I wanted BF, I think he said it. I'm going to scroll back up. Okay, he said, I'm going to need you to address the difference between narcissism and being overly confident. Overly confident. I don't see that as narcissism at all. It may just be what may so like for me, I always joke and I say I'm my number one fan, in addition to my mommy, right? But I say I'm my own fan because there are days where I'm like, oh my gosh, I have homework, I have this, I have that, I have life, all those things. But then my inner self, my inner fan for myself will be like, you got it. I can do this. And I'll reflect on a time before where I may have been in a situation that was similar, or it could have even been a situation that was harder. And that boosts my confidence to know that I can do it because at some point we all will question our competency. We all may have self doubt. So, no. And I would also want to know what goes into that when we say overly confident. Like, how is that looking? Are we having to degrade others? Yeah, because if we're not having to put anyone down or, say we're better than this one or, well, back that up real quick. So, you ever been around people, whether it be family, friends, coworkers, whomever, and they'll say, "Oh, you just think you're better than everyone." Maybe they don't sound like that, but that's how it comes to my ears. Thank you so much for yesterday. Oh, okay. That's how it comes through my ears. Like you achieve something that you worked so hard for, and everyone's like, mm, they all uppity now. Oh, they think they high and mighty now. Oh, they think, oh Lord, she's so educated now. You think you better than everybody else. Well, I'm gonna be honest. I used to have a bad habit, and I have to be very aware of this. And mommy, I don't need you to co-sign. You haven't yet, but I'm just feeling like you will. I used to have a bad habit of dumbing myself down, meaning so that way other people would be comfortable. Does that make sense, y'all? Anybody ever done that? Y'all ever been speaking to someone or anything and you say you know that life? In what way though? Like from my perspective or is it I just don't want to assume freedom's march. But yeah, you end up don't do it, mommy. I love you so much. But you end up literally, it's no other way to say it. You dumb yourself down because you are so concerned about how they're going to feel. Okay. Okay. I got you, Freedom's March. Got you, family. You be so concerned. You don't want to hurt no one's feelings. You don't want them to feel like you think you're better than them. And then I noticed in my 30s, y'all, that I had started thinking to myself when people would say, yeah, you think you doing all of that. And I think to myself when they would say, yeah, you think you better than everybody else. I ain't gonna lie, what I think is, well, if we just talking about this, one thing I am better than you. For real though, right? I mean, I'm not saying I'm better than you holistically as a person, but in regards as to what we are talking about, and there have been times, once I got in my 40s, where if somebody, you push me enough and you're like, oh, well, why do you have to speak like that? And why do you have to use those words? And why do you, well, I mean, I paid attention in school. I enjoyed reading. So I say that to say, don't dumb yourself down. Being overly confident, if we are not actually putting someone down and just being, when you being a straight asshole versus when you are just standing on truth. Freedom's March. Freedom's March. I ain't never lied about my age. Okay, well, All right, so Freedom's March over here, I guess calling me Cap. But anyways, so anything else, y'all, in regards to this? Like I said, I didn't want this live to last too long. Um, I'm just trying to think of some other things that may come up. I didn't get into what can also happen with other diagnoses from having these personality disorders, but it definitely yes, can increase your anxiety, depressive symptoms. Thank you. What did they say on Black Don't Crack? Well, that is true for a lot of people, but then I've also seen some, and I'm like, dude, you telling me, and I know your driver's license say you in your 20s? Nah, nah, I can't go with that. I appreciate that. Appreciate that, family. So I'm just giving y'all a second, real quick. Like I said, the biggest thing for me in discussing these personality disorders is to normalize it. Also, to provide y'all with actual sound information versus these opinions that fly off. Because a lot of times, the people that are sharing them, in media have had these not so good experiences, and they knew the person may have had that disorder. And it's not to not validate what they went through, but it paints this picture of individuals that is far from the truth. So I hope all of you have been encouraged. I do hope that even if it doesn't apply specifically to you, you know, you may know someone and you may be like, hey, listen to this. I know you told me that you were struggling with this. Or, you just may like learn about different diagnoses and things that people do experience. As always, I appreciate each of you. We're all doing this thing called life for the very first time. I will not stop reminding you because sometimes we have this mindset that we should have everything figured out. And that's not realistic, y'all. Life is hard enough. Be gentle with yourselves. Be kind to yourselves. Be patient with yourselves. I appreciate you, Dirt Gang Boss. I really appreciate all of you. And I pray that y'all have a beautiful day. I will, DP Rocka. Okay, so all of y'all people in here that are like content creators and y'all do y'all's thing, my favorite YouTube peeps, my big brother. I don't want, God forbid, don't want him to type because he doesn't want to have to engage. He already told us what he doing. I like picking with him. Okay. In order to have people up, do I just like get StreamYard or something? Is that the way I would have to do that? Anybody? I think that's the only way I can do that. I'm not certain, but I do think so. Freedom's March. Freedom's March, do you know? And do you know, DP Rocket, is it StreamYard that I would have to have in order to bring somebody up, like on the panel, anything like that? Well, y'all ain't answering fast enough. And y'all know I'm ready to get off. But I'll look into it because I do want to be able to have people up here. Um, I do like interacting because I do like hearing y'all's questions and your experiences and just what you would like for us to explore, right? All right, y'all. What you said, DP Rock, I have no clue. Yeah, well, I'm gonna check into it. I am. Y'all have a beautiful day. I'm gonna see y'all soon. Oh, you got okay, Dirt Gang Boss. I can use StreamYard. Okay, we'll get to that point. I'm getting a little more comfortable, y'all. I am. So enjoy your day. A lot of you I'll see later on in these YouTube streets. What's up? It's all good. It's all good. You can definitely, watch that replay. I appreciate you stopping by. It's all good. Do something kind for yourself today, even if it's just an affirming word, even if it's just a moment to yourself. How often do you take time to yourself? Think about those things, y'all. I'll see y'all later. Peace and blessings always. All right, y'all. Bye.